We're talking about snacks right now. We talked earlier in the week about how do we pack a healthy lunch. It's time to talk about how do we pack the snack. The snack is often more important to the kids than the actual lunch, right? So I love this that Kelby and Emily put together, keep calm and have snacks. It's actually really to the point, because one of the things that we know is that if their blood sugar drops out, we're going to be more prone to see challenging behavior. So making sure that they keep an even blood sugar throughout the day is one of the things we can do as parents to ensure that we're giving them the best possible chance to deal with frustration and to deal with all the different things that will come up for them in their life. Keeping the blood sugar regular. So as we go through these, you're going to notice that two things are missing from our list of things to have in the snacks. And especially at school, and I know this is where I'm going to lose some of you, but being a former teacher and being a mom now, I just want to point out how important it is to keep the sugar level down. You'll notice that we're going to talk about carbs, but keep the actual refined sugar down or out of the snacks, because you know what happens is the sugar gives them an instant buzz and then they crash hard. And I've seen that in a classroom, and if your teachers are honest, they'll tell you that they see it every day. And the other thing that we really need to be careful of here in the United States is keeping artificial colors to a minimum. So you'll see that those are things that are missing. But with that, we don't sacrifice on anything else. We're not sacrificing on flavor and certainly not on color. So launching right into this, and of course, again, my slides are out of order. I don't know what it is that my iPad likes to do, but it puts them out of order. So let's start with the 3 C's. When we're thinking about snacks, you really want to think in 3 different categories, and sometimes they overlap. But the 3 C's are color, crunch, and carbs. These are the things that are going to make our snacks the most successful. Because what is a snack trying to do? Trying to keep the blood sugar from bottoming out, which we do that with carbs. We want it to be something that the kids will actually eat, which a lot of times they like something that's colorful, and a lot of times our kids like something that crunches for a snack. If you think about the creamy kinds of snacks that there are, those are snacks that often have to be refrigerated and that often have a lot of sugar in them. So think of the 3 C's: color, crunch, and carbs. So let's start with color. What are we talking about there? I always talk on the show about let's eat the rainbow. And bear with me, because I know that there's some of you saying, if I sent some cut up peppers, colorful peppers, off to school with my child, the likelihood is that they're going to come back. Okay, you're the person I most want to talk to, because all of our experts say that we have to present a food how many times? 20 times before a child will eat them. Now, we're not talking about turning into Joan Crawford and Mommy Dearest, where we get the steak back out every single meal, right? We're not doing anything crazy like that. But one of the things that even I do with my son is that, for instance, if I cut up a bunch of different colored peppers, and I usually will cut up green and red and yellow, and we're getting into that time of the year where those will be plentiful, organic, and with peppers, it's important that they be organic. They're on the Dirty Dozen list. I will send them off to school, and he may or may not get to them at lunch. They come home from school, and then they go on the dinner plate. And then if they don't get eaten on the dinner plate, then frequently they'll go into the compost, right? But then I'll cycle them back in. But eventually he will eat them, especially if you're not sending the sugary stuff and you're not sending the other colors. He will eat them, and then once he gets into the habit of eating them, then he'll eat them a lot. 20 times we have to present a new food before we can really 20 times that you just present it and say nothing and don't say, you need to eat that. You just put it on the plate. My dog will eat them too if I don't want to put them in the compost. Or sometimes somebody else in the family will eat them as well. Or you can take them and put them into a casserole that you do bake them into something else, grind them up and put them in the meatloaf, and the kids won't know. But you can use them, and do send them off to school. Make sure that there's always something colorful, and that from time to time you're including really healthy things like fruits and veg. You can see on this list peppers. We like to send the cherry tomatoes off to school. Cherries are another great thing to send when they're in season. Blueberries, strawberries, melon, grapes, carrots, oranges, and bananas. It's really a cornucopia, and the list could have gone on, right? These are all great things that kids will tend to eat. Some of them are messier than others, and you want to think about how you package them, but I showed you on Tuesday those lovely wax paper bags that will hold any of these things. Ideal that you wash them the night before and dry them off really good so that when you're grabbing them to put in the bag, they're already clean and they're not going to get all the moisture in the bag from having been freshly washed. And there's some fine motor components to this as well for our kids, that all of these things have a tendency to, you are going to use a pincer grasp, which is great for all of our kids, regardless of age. Okay, so let's move on to crunch, which a lot of us will think, okay, this is a little bit easier. Our kids are more likely to eat these cucumbers. This could be in a pickle version too. So cucumbers are pickles, nuts, but we don't want to send peanuts to school. My son is allergic to almonds, but it is not such a huge allergy that he can't be around other kids who are eating almonds. But for our kids who are allergic to peanuts, it's a life and death issue. So let's all band together and never send peanuts to school out of respect for kids who are allergic or becoming allergic to peanuts. It's just a safe thing to do that. Seaweed snacks, and we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the different brands that are particularly good. They're a really fun thing, and they're very up and coming, and it's kind of a hot thing, and the kids all like them. They're really fun to eat. Celery. Some kids will eat celery, especially if you send a dip with them. Things like apples, things that have a little bit of a crunch to them. And then there's some more crunchy things that we have under our carb department. So carbs, rice cakes are great things to send, and you can send hummus on those. Chips, and we're going to talk about some of the different, because chips don't have to just be made of potatoes anymore. They have all kinds of chips that are available that are made out of vegetables and many other things. So be adventuresome when you're picking chips. And pretzels are a great thing. You can even get gluten-free pretzels now if your child can have yeast. Most of the gluten-free pretzels have yeast in them. Popcorn, and I would encourage you to not get the kind that's cooked in the microwave in the bags. Those have a lot of things in them, chemicals that our kids don't respond well to. Get something that's organic, non-GMO, and hopefully cooked in olive oil. Trader Joe's makes a great one if you're near a Trader Joe's, but there are other varieties as well. And protein bars, but again, check to make sure that there's no peanuts in them. And all those things are great carbs. We want a little bit of carb in a snack because it is going to keep the blood sugar from plummeting. The more complex, the closer it is to a whole food, like for instance, when you're doing rice cakes, get the brown rice cakes. What that does is create a longer, slower burn so that our kids don't have the crash, right? So then I think the next thing that we have, yes, some different examples of some really cool things. For instance, I was saying that chips are a little bit different. This is one of my new favorite things. We met them at the Gluten-Free Expo. Flamus falafel chips. Oh my goodness. Organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, casein-free, and yummy. They taste like they've already got hummus on them, but if you dip them in hummus, they're that much more fabulous. They're fabulous with salsa. They come in two different varieties. There's the spicy and the original. For the kids, I would recommend the original, but really healthy, good source of fiber. They're available in a lot of stores now, and you can get them online too. Flamus falafel chips. Ooh, very, very good. And moving on to the next one, olive tortilla chips. I mentioned these the other day. Food should taste good. I think I misquoted what the brand is, but these are amazing. They're gluten-free, non-GMO, fiber-rich, no cholesterol, low sodium, because we have to be watching that in our kids. And they travel really well. You can put those in a baggie, and they travel really well. And then I mentioned that we were gonna, the Lara bars. I forgot that those were next. These are an amazing tool. These are gluten-free as well. They're easy to find. You can find these in almost any drugstore. They're available in the big stores like Walmart and Kmart and Target. They are even in gas stations. So if you're driving someplace and your kid's getting cranky and you haven't been able to stop for a meal, you can stop at most gas stations and they're going to have something like this. But Lara bars are gluten-free. They're shelf-stable, so you can have them. You can keep them in your car, put them in a backpack. I give some of these to my son's teacher to have in the emergency bag in case they get on lockdown. that he's got a snack when the rest of the kids get a snack. They pack really nicely. They'll stay good forever. There are so many different flavors. I mentioned my son's allergic to almond, but there are 2 or 3 different flavors that are no almond. Some have peanuts. Make sure that you're checking what's appropriate for your child and for your child's school. But again, gluten-free, and it feels like a treat. And they feel like the other kids, which is sometimes important, right? So really sort of spectacular. I always find that when we go on a walk or something, I'll bring a case or 2 of the Lara bars, and by the end of the day, everybody is scarfing down the Lara bars because it gives you that boost of energy, but you're not going to crash later on. So the next one I think is the seaweed. No, we have Lay's. This is a great brand, Lay's. You need to know about Lay's because it's gluten-free and because it's available everywhere, and it makes your kid look like every other kid. And let's face it, Lay's potato chips, I said they're socially acceptable. And they come in the little bags so you can do portion control. And then the final one, the seaweed snacks that we were talking about, I wanted you to see how they come packaged. It's a little sheet. It's like the nori wraps that you do sushi in, but they're thinner. And so there isn't quite as much of a fish taste to it. And they come in different flavors too. Annie Chung has a variety that you can get in most grocery stores now. And Trader Joe's has a really great inexpensive version too. They're a great little snack. It sort of feels like eating a potato chip, and everybody has their way that they like to eat them. It is an acquired taste. I will tell you that if it takes 20 times to eat a food, even for us as adults, give this a little bit of time, try them. But the thing is that once you acquire the taste for them, they are addictive, but it's so healthy, so healthy. It's anti-inflammatory and low sodium, so much more low sodium than the chips. So those are just some suggestions. Have fun with the snack. Make your child go with you to the store, talk about some of the different things that they would like to have in the snack. So keep calm and snack. Have a snack. All right, we're going to be right back after these messages.